Hello. Hi, I'm just going to give a moment to let everybody come in. Hi. Great. So, thank you all for joining us today. As you can see, we're doing something a little bit different on Dansii's channel. Carolina Mancuso will be interviewing me about the creation of Dansii and of Seeing Eye to Eye. Carolina is a dancer, creator, and teacher. She was previously a dancer with the Netherlands Dance Theater, with the Hamburg Ballet, and as a freelancer, and she's now teaching from sunny Argentina. So, welcome, Carolina. One second, I'm just bringing Carolina in.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Emily. How are you?
Hi, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Do you hear me well?
Yes, yes. And
Fantastic. Well,
great.
thank
Thank
you
you so
so
much.
much.
Thank you, Carolina, for joining me today and for taking the time to ask me some questions.
Fantastic. I'm very much looking forward to it. I hope everybody can hear us well. I'm very excited to be part of this wonderful network of people that I got to know throughout these months. And I'm very much looking forward for this interview as I want to know some more things. And I think it's a fantastic way to share it live. I've been thinking these days, and I wonder, when was the moment, Emily, that you thought, I want to do this project? And what does it mean for you?
So, yeah, there wasn't only one moment. The first, though, was in August of 2017. I was on my friend's balcony. We were in Germany, and my mom had just planted Dansii as a seed of an idea in my mind. And her and I were having an absolute riot, imagining what would life be like if we could have information or resources readily available for us to better our careers. Although then I really wanted to pursue Dansii, it wasn't until January of 2019 that I felt actively ready to do it. So then
Right.
I quit my job. I was dancing with Dansei's Compañía, and I decided I wanted to pursue Dansii full time. And that was really my, okay, I'm ready to do this, and I want to see this idea become something tangible.
And so you took 2 years from the moment that that seed got planted up until you felt secure, this is what I want to do. And I can imagine that in those 2 years, you met with a lot of people to get the confidence, also the content to understand how you can provide a benefit. And I would like to understand, what is the mission behind this program, and what is your personal aim for it, as well as the aim for the program itself?
So, our mission is to provide resources to dancers that are going to be easily accessible, readily available, and that aren't going to completely break their wallets. But we
Right.
wanted to do that in numerous different ways. And one of those ways is the mentorship program. Um, the mentorship program right now does come with a cost, but we're hoping in the coming years to provide subsidized placements. And then we're also hoping that outside of the program, we can provide some events like workshops and master classes that are at a lower cost. And my personal aim through this, I want to grow as an artist and a creator as well. And you mentioned, that it's taken me 2 years, as I don't have a formal education in business. So I've had to have my own learning journey and path throughout this as well. And so it's really important for me that I continue on that path and I continue learning with the mentors, learning with the mentees. And hopefully we can continue to create a community where we can find that information to help us get established as emerging dancers.
Fantastic. So from 2019 up until last week's the website's launch, I don't know if you guys know about it. We'll be sharing more on that later. I can imagine you've been getting a lot of information for the profit of the program, as well as I wonder, have you got mentored yourself to better understand how to guide a group and be the leader of these mentors?
Such an interesting question, because when I reflect and I think about this, it's like it's funny to imagine not having a mentor while creating a mentorship program.
Right.
So let me run you through it as effectively as possible. As you did mention, 2 whole years. We've had many people that have been sort of enlightening us on our journey, but never one specific mentor until May or June of 2021, where we are now. We, like I mentioned previously, have been creating various different initiatives to try to meet our goals. And in May, we took a big look at our strategy and said, can we accomplish all of this? And is it most effective to try to do everything at once? Or can we have a slow release of our initiatives? And at the same time, we thought we should really be investing in creating 1 or 2 relationships with some potential experienced individuals in the arts sector who could help guide us. So the first person that we had the opportunity to speak with was Heidi Reitmeyer, and she's an executive. She's a curator for museums, and she creates and designs plans and implements strategic thinking into a variety of different arts sectors and businesses, companies. And we were connected to her via another individual, Donna Van Alstyne. And she was the first person to really push that we need a mentor. So she was that enlightenment that I say, and then Heidi was sort of the conclusion of that. And then otherwise, while creating the mentorship program specifically, one of the biggest things that we did was speaking with emerging dancers and choreographers. And although they didn't act as mentors, they certainly guided us in our creative process. And then once I onboarded the mentors as well, there's a few of the mentors who have been so generous and giving of their time. Richard Dansii is one of them. You are one of them as well, Carolina. Maurice has also been sharing his insights. And the other mentors, whenever they have time, they have been as well. Terry Hyde has been. I hope I'm not forgetting anybody. But it's just been wonderful to know that beyond wanting to help the dancers and the choreographers in the program, they're also interested in helping us to get this program off the ground.
Fantastic. You've mentioned something that I would very much like if you could talk a little bit about, like how is it that you feel there isn't already a platform for emerging artists? Is this why you are wanting to push this forward? I have my own thoughts. Obviously, we've been in touch already for some time, but I would like to know, in your experience, be it at auditioning and part of a company, talking to emerging artists or artists that have had a long time experience, have there been a common conversation about certain topics that allowed you to be where you are today and moving forward with this program?
Most definitely. The biggest thing that comes to mind is this sort of dark hole that seems to emerge right after school or finishing your formal education. And that happens at any age. Um,
Hmm.
and what happens there? So that for me has been the most common thread. How can we bridge that? How can we make it so that in your institutions or the schools, or it could even be a junior company, you could go from school to junior company, and then you have this sort of, ooh, what now? Um, that at that moment, these dancers and choreographers are um, given the opportunity to learn more about Dansii, to learn about what we're doing, to know that there's a mentorship program so that we can try to eliminate so much fear in joining the professional world and the extreme loneliness that a lot of dancers and choreographers face in their pursuits to become established. Um, so that has been a big motivator behind what we are doing. Um, and otherwise, other common threads that I've seen and what we're trying to do, there is other mentorship programs out there. And we were actually inspired by one, which is called Mentorly. It's an open marketplace where you could go and connect. But what we're looking to create is a community as well. Throughout the pandemic, we've all, I think, felt what it's like to be stuck inside our homes. And for an emerging dancer or choreographer who was already having a hard time get work or establish their community, grow their networks, we're trying to provide that space for them. And yes, it's digital and yes, it's virtual. But like I said, we're going to learn together. Let's try to create that sense of community where not only you can connect with the mentors, but you could also connect with fellow mentees and say, how's it going? Would love to hear what your experiences are like. And perhaps we can learn from one another.
Great. And how did you selected the mentors? Was there
So
a
we
process? Was it a long process? Did you filter? Yeah, just if you can give me specific situations you've been in, like did you, let's say, somehow audition the mentors? What was the process in understanding if they were fitted for what the program aims for? And so, talking about the past, the present, and the future, I would like to know what do you expect from the mentors, and if they can, if you're confident they will deliver what you expect of them.
Right. So there was a process for onboarding the mentors, of course, and the first step was screening. A lot of the mentors we already were in connection with them, whether that be like a first connection from somebody within the team or a secondary connection from somebody that we've already worked with. So that was important that we didn't have any loose ends in the project. We all had some sort of connection already. And then we would screen them. So the first step to that was researching, seeing who they are, seeing if there's any information about them online. And then we would have an interview with each of them where we were talking very much about the goals of the program, but also about each mentor's experience in becoming established themselves and what they've been observing in their positions, which could be as a teacher or a coach, ex-director. More of our senior mentors especially had a lot to say about what's going on or what they perceive is going on with emerging dance artists now. And there's two things that all the mentors have in common. The first thing is a desire to continue learning and to continue learning from the mentees, and actually what's the word? They're craving to learn from younger people. They have respect for younger people. And then the second component to that is to improve and support how emerging dancers and choreographers are establishing themselves today, to help them get to a point where they are confident and where they feel like they are aware of their place in the dance community. I really believe in the mentors. there's, like I mentioned, like I'm learning with them, and I can't wait to see how other people are learning from the mentors and can experience what I've been experiencing and speaking with each and every one of you guys. I expect the mentors, they expect so much of themselves. Let me say that first, that they are the first people to put a high standard on how they want to help people, and they want to stay organized, and they want to have resources to better their ability to mentor. Um, and I expect them to be highly communicative, very engaged. I expect them to be checking in with me, with the mentees. I expect them to go beyond even what we've asked for. And that mostly comes from their personalities and what I know of them and their drive to be the best that they can be in these positions.
And how do you think that in this horizontal communication I understand you're talking about, will this program impact into the lives of dancers, choreographers, performers, emerging artists? Is is that something that you see that will happen immediately? Something that is a long time investment? Um, how do you feel this will impact?
Hmm. The easiest way, I think, for me to answer that is to put myself in the shoes of somebody who's going to be participating in the program. And when I do that, the first thing I think that I would feel is confident, calm, and happy that finally my voice is heard more than once in a blue moon, and that I am the one who have brought myself here. I'm doing my due diligence. I'm looking after myself, and I'm creating relationships that are for me. Um, I also imagine feeling frustrated and challenged sometimes because mentors can and should be honest. And some of their stories that they may tell may not be inspiring in the way that I might want them to be. And so at the same time as that, though, I imagine feeling highly engaged because, like I said, I have everything that we're doing with the mentors is around my goals and around getting to where I would like to get to. Um, Long term, I imagine feeling grateful for the relationships that I've created and the bonds that I've made, and also that I would probably want to give back in the same capacity one day. Um, in my little journey so far within the dance community, have been reached out to by some of the graduates of my previous school on occasion for them to ask me what they recommend they do with their audition tours or with
Right.
sometimes it's through schools that I had the opportunity to be at both. So they're asking me, and that's just such a little bit of me giving some advice. And the way that they've received it is that they're so grateful that somebody's been able to help them. And that was just three messages back and forth. And so I'm seeing that with this program, with 2 sessions a month, and with a continual relationship that the mentees can rely on, that they would feel very different from point A to point B. But that's part of the journey that we're on, and I would love to learn with these mentees and say, okay, let's see, we can monitor and track your success in a way that isn't, of course, obtrusive to their goals. But let's see, what are the impacts of this? It hasn't
Right.
been a program virtually and on this scale hasn't um, been done in the dance community. And so let's see what happens.
So this is something that is going to add in the formation of people, understanding how to organize well in time, aligned with what their projection is, whether it's an audition, whether it is subsidies requests, whether it is talking to your colleagues or directors.
Mhm.
I understand that this is something that is going to add into the formation of these people. And I'm curious, um, what are you working on right now? That obviously you have had to, I think, uh, create a whole business plan that goes aligned with the mission and that goes aligned with the core that moves you. But just before we start talking about what you're right now busy with, I would like you to clarify for me what is the difference between a mentor and a therapist. Obviously, and the reason why I ask this is because dance movement is something that transports thoughts, that transports feelings, and sometimes they can get intertwined, not as a negative connotation. However, I am curious. This is something we've already spoke about. What is the fine line between therapy and mentoring?
So a mentor is there to listen to you and to provide their 2 cents via stories, via their experiences. They can only speak about them. That's what they know. And it's a back and forth conversation, which is where the name Eye to Eye comes from. It's two people sharing their experiences, and the individual who has come and created the relationship and said, my goal is to, say, get into a company at the end of this season. Very basic example, but let's go with it. And the mentor is there to tell them about their experiences. What did they do? What have they been seeing? What did their friend just tell them that happened? Oh, I just heard that there's this audition here. Did you know about that? How's your CV? Here's what my CV looks like, and here's what I did. Whereas a therapist or a coach coach and therapists are different as well. But they're there to more actively help the individual reach their goals. So a coach, for example, could create a plan for the mentee, and they could help them implement that plan. And a therapist can more diagnose an individual with an issue. We're looking at much more like tendencies. As a therapist, they're most likely going to want to go way back. What was your childhood like? Where are
Right.
these ideas coming from? They want to know, where's that origin of all of this, and they're going to dig deeper. They may also give you direct tasks and things to think about. Compared to a mentor could give a task of, why not the next time that we talk, you present me with an updated CV based off of what we just talked about. Whereas a therapist could say, in your journal, write down XYZ questions and answer them
Right.
every day. And then when you come back, let's talk about that. Let's talk about how that made you feel. And it's important for individuals interested in the program to know the distinctions, because we want to make sure that they're getting the best out of this program.
Right. Awesome. Thank you. Um,
And you
Please.
asked me, yeah, it was
Oh,
another
go,
question
go.
that you had asked, right? What was it? Right before, it was what we're doing right now.
Yes.
Do you still
Yes.
want to know?
Yes, of course. I just want to say, at all times, if any of you have a question, please ask. I'm trying to read if people ask questions. So far, nobody did. This is a space to do so. If we don't get back to you right now, we certainly will. That's our intention, to create already a connection. So, Emily, what are you busy with right now?
So our biggest thing that we're working on right now is the marketing of the program. We've been working it's been an intensive year of developing this program, and that's been in the dark. We haven't been sharing on social media. And so to go from not sharing to trying to onboard individuals and get to the people could really benefit from the program is challenging. I'm also working on creating some partnerships with some schools, companies, or programs. As we know, there is career studies curriculum in most schools. And sometimes the schools are looking to bring in guest speakers. Sometimes they're looking to add a bit of an edge to their program. So I'm also working with some different schools, and we're trying to see what is that there, and how can we partner together, us being a very young company and some of those institutions being much more mature. And then the third thing is ongoing strategy. Like you mentioned previously, of course, we have our business plans, we have our strategic plans, we've done the whole back end, uh, strategic preparation, research, and then we've developed our implementation plans, and now we're here doing it. But that's just an ongoing um, line of, are we meeting our targets? How is our communication internally? Um, and are our goals realistic? Are those targets, so when we don't reach a target, okay, what should we change now? And how can we change it so that we're still engaged also? We're not just like repeating and repeating anything.
Wow. It sounds like a lot. Are you on your own for all these activities that you've mentioned? Do you have a team? And if you do have a team, um, are they part of the project since the very beginning? How did you meet them?
Yeah. So yes, we have a team. My co-founder is my mother. Like I mentioned before, she had planted the idea of Dansii um, from listening to me complain, in essence, not gonna lie. That's where it came from. She was like, why don't you just do it? Why don't you just, create something that then is going to have the type of impact that you're looking for from another organization? And she's an accountant, a bookkeeper. And so she's handling the whole bookkeeping side of things. And then we have Arthur Stashak. Him and I met at the National Ballet School of Canada when we were kids. And in 2019, when I mentioned that I wanted to fully pursue Dansii and I quit my job, um, Arthur and I connected then. And we started creating some collaborative video content, trying to begin some research together via interviews. And he's been on our journey since I was. Samantha Tawas-Jurna, she's also on our team. Sam joined on in 2019 as well. And her and I were in a very similar place, which is we had professional experiences, but we were looking for something, we wanted some more support. And so her and I were very actively brainstorming, developing. We created the whole strategy together, along with some mentors and advice, but she was very much so we were like a dynamic duo for a very long time creating Dansii. And we have Eve Marie, and Eve and I connected in 2019, I think it was. No, sorry, 2020. Eve is full of great ideas. And I connected with you via Eve. And I started out with her as I was interviewing her. And then she was like, I have an idea for a way that we could help dance reps and companies. Different idea, but she's always been there with her fresh ideas. She's always been reviewing our content. And she's very busy doing other things. She's freelancing in Europe. So there's Eve. And Richard Chensi is the head of the steering committee for the mentors. And so we
Mhm.
meet also on a weekly basis, and I provide him an update. And once the program is fully operating, he'll be the check-in between us and the mentors. And that's our little team for now.
Amazing. Do you feel you're accomplishing so far what you've set up? How are you handling disappointment if you don't meet them?
Hmm. Um, we've set up so many goals since 2019. So let me think of the best way. Since we've re-strategized in May of 2021, we've met most of our targets. We've had to push sometimes, especially
Right.
when it comes to deadlines and launching. And we have so many perfectionists in our team that we can get stuck in the fine moment before launching something where we're like, oh, are we ready? Are we not? Are things in place? When things don't go the way that we hoped they would, or the way that we had prepared ourselves to. Our new mantra is to be patient, take time, and think. It's so easy when something goes wrong, especially for in business, in my experience so far, to want to sort of, okay, well then let's change this, or let's contact this person. It's all very rash, very, because it's upsetting when you work so hard and something doesn't happen the way you wanted it to. So we're trying to learn to slow down a little bit and give more time to reflect on what we could have done differently. And then just try to create a new strategy and implement it, which takes time again. And we want feedback on that. So we're not just, okay, change of road, but we
Right.
have feedback. What do you think about this new direction? And then we go ahead and when everybody is fully engaged and ready to go with that new idea.
Are you 100% giving yourself your time and investment into seeing eye to eye, or do you have some other job? Maybe some of us wonder that. I'm curious.
Mhm. Um, I'm currently working full time with Dansii. It's been my full time project for a while. Um, the prep was so intense actually to get the program ready to go. But now that we've launched, I'm seeing that there's more time. I have more time on my hands. So I may look for some different opportunities in the dance community for myself. And I've uh, personally been so dedicated to this organization that I'm craving a bit of stimulation in like to be in the studio again and to be a part of a creative process again. Um, so for now, this is all that I'm working on, but we're sort of in a moment of transition where we've never launched before. It's our first launch. And so is there full-time work for us? Yes or no? Also financially, we have to look after ourselves. Um, and yeah, it's been full time, but now we're sort of discovering.
Beautiful. I want to share while I was listening, just with the last things you've mentioned, reminded me of what I recently been I've been told of, which is you could you could feel the sense of weight of responsibility, as well as you could be lifted by the ability to respond. That play of word is suddenly giving you, empowering me, and able to understand, okay, I'm always learning. That's something that drives me, and therefore I want to keep my eyes open and be able to ask when I don't understand something, and when I still, and if I have set up a goal a little bit too far for what I can do, I go back into be able to respond in time.
Mhm.
At times I feel there is so much pressure from the outside, but actually it's own pressure that we are dealing with. I'm excited to be part of the mentoring program as a mentor, and also learning from the mentees, as you've mentioned, and talking a little bit about them. I'm wondering, you've said you are now 100% busy with the program after the launching, and I wonder, have been any common questions that you've been asked about the program that you can tell us a little bit about?
Yeah, sure. So interested individuals have been asking questions mostly related to the schedule. Our schedule is so open. It's very much you can set up meetings as you want. There's only one monthly um, event that we have set out the time and that you have to commit to or not. And so that's been one of my primary questions is is there a schedule or is this really how it is?
Right.
And the second question I've been getting is about the duration of the program. Why 10 months? And then that
Right.
always brings me to research, and that in order to see results, positive or negative, from a mentorship relationship, it's recommended that you invest at least 8 months with that individual. And so that's where that 10 months has come from. And that isn't so obvious. We don't have that obviously laid out anywhere. So that's been a common question. And then outside of the dance community, I've been getting a lot of questions about what is this program and who does it serve?
Mm-hmm.
And it's so fascinating and unfortunate. It's a bit sad, but people don't realize the intense training that dancers and choreographers go through, mixed with the lack of guidance that they then have following that. And so I've had to explain to people, there's so many people who within the first 5 years of trying to establish their careers, they stop, like they change careers or they don't continue on that path. And we're looking to change that, especially after, like I say, the intense training that you go through. So those have been my biggest questions to date. Otherwise, I have been receiving some smaller questions about joining the program. If somebody if they're able to apply, even if they're not an emerging dancer, for example, but they still see merit in joining the program for specific reasons. So it's been specific questions to people.
Right. And what happens if a mentee wants to cancel the subscription before the 10 months period?
Yeah, that's interesting. So they can opt in or out, whatever. But like I say,
Mhm.
or as a mentee, you should be looking to create a long-term relationship in order to see your goals met. But of course, it's possible.
Right.
Life changes. Maybe your goals are met earlier. Maybe your funding situation changes. So it is possible.
And what kind of communication will you, Emily, be having with the mentees? I'm Is this something that you agree right after they have gone through the application? Can they also be in direct contact with you?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, we do outline it right after the mentee applies, and if they're accepted, then we do outline our agreement, how we are going to work with them. They can be in touch with us whenever they want. That's all, or that door's always open. We'll be in touch with them, but we don't want to distract them, from their goals and from what we are imagining to be a busy time. They might be working different jobs while trying to get established. But whenever we do contact them, we ask that they answer us. We are going to be following through with anonymous surveys to monitor the success of the program. And then we will have 2 or 3 check-in calls throughout the year. If that feels right, if a mentee, if it doesn't feel right to them, um, I guess the point is that we don't want to know how their goals are going. We want to see it more on a bigger picture. Is there anything we can do to help you?
right.
And
What happened?
I don't want to get too
Sorry,
nitty gritty about them because that's personal at the end of the day.
right. And if a mentee doesn't feel connected or may have their they own thoughts about how the sessions is going with a one-on-one session as well as panel discussions, can they also contact you to feel supported?
Yes, most definitely. And we'll be sending, that's another point I forgot to mention, we'll be sending resources on a monthly basis, sort of like a newsletter, for mentees to have a bit more information to help them make the most of their sessions.
Right.
If there's also general topics that we're seeing all the mentees are asking about, we may send out some sort of homework. But if they're not happy, we want them to be happy. There's 21 mentors, so we can change placement of the mentee, and the mentee can take that upon themselves, or they could say, I don't know who to connect with. Can you, do an intro for me? And then with the panel discussions as well. And we will be sending out surveys, like I said, especially after the group events, to see how they were perceived by the mentees, what we can do better the next time, and create that collaborative community that I was talking about at the beginning. We're all in this together. So let's learn together and let's create the best that we can out of this.
Thank you, Anita Nodilo. I hope I'm pronouncing well your name. They ask, what would be some of the basic topics between the mentors and the mentees?
There's a variety of topics, and it very much depends on which mentors, but basic topics. The most common topic that all mentors are prepared to talk about is emotional development, spiritual development, and physical development. That's the most common one. Audition prep is also a big one that's in there. Um, discrimination in the underdog is also a big one. Then we have two divisions of mentors, which is the more choreographically inclined mentors. And then we have the more dancer inclined mentors. The choreographic mentors are, some of them are interested in following a mentee along a choreographic process itself. So that's very specific and different than, say, following a mentee on getting a job. And we're, which another big topic, which some of the people we've interviewed, emerging dancers, are interested in, but some not. It's about 50-50, is improving their communication and negotiation and leadership skills. And we do have mentors who are in that field, some of which aren't even dancers or choreographers themselves, but who work within the dance community, say placing directors or on an administrative side of the dance community, and they'll be talking about um, those skills that we certainly aren't taught in school. How do what do you do when you're talking to your director or negotiating with them? And how can you increase your skills to be able to do that better?
Awesome.
I hope that answers your question, Anita.
I hope so too. I am very happy that it was asked. It was within my aim. And I think maybe it is a fantastic way to continue. Can you tell us a little bit about how the program is intention? What is the difference between the one-on-one session and the panel discussions?
Sure. So we want to provide different opportunities for the mentees to connect with different mentors and make the most of their subscription. That's one of our big intentions. There's 21 of them. And so when you look at the profiles, you think, okay, so I have 20 sessions. I don't even have time to get in a session with all of them. How do I know I want to invest all my time in one or two of these mentors? So that's where the panel discussions and the group events, the master classes, and the workshops come into play. So the mentee should have the opportunity to at least get to interact with each mentor at some point during the program. The one-on-one sessions are where you get to pick the mentor's brain, and it's all you time. It's all you. You can pick their brains, hear their stories, and have some moments of, aha, okay, I have a new idea. Whereas the panel discussions are an opportunity to gain more perspective. It's hard when you have a mentor. It can be hard sometimes not to believe everything that they say or follow every story that they've shared. And I've experienced that myself. But you have to be strong as a mentee and it happens the same as a dancer or choreographer. You have to know what you want to take and put into your pocket and what you feel like you should leave on the table. Maybe you can pick it up at a later date. But that's for the one-on-one sessions, you have to, at the end of it, reflect and decide, okay, this is what I learned today. Do I want to take that with me? Panel discussions will be much more broad-based. And I think in nature, they will already be that way as we're talking to multiple different people about one topic. So in October, we're going to have a panel discussion and we'll see what are these different people's opinions. And
Right.
how does that change what we're doing? And this is about social responsibility in dance in October. And so we have 7 mentors joining us, all from different places, corners of the world. We're going to see what do they think.
Awesome. And how are the applications processed?
So we read through the applications, each of us, and we have some thoughts afterwards. The biggest thing that
When you
we're
say
looking for,
we, you mean the team that you've mentioned
yeah,
earlier? Right, thank
right.
you.
So yes, and the biggest thing that we're looking for is if this individual, if we think that they will be able to benefit from the program. We don't have any sort of screening to see like how professional are they? Are they good? Are they bad? We're not there to judge the individual. But it's important for us to know that their goals, we have a question like, what goals would you like to see met by the end of the season? We want to make sure that we can accomplish those goals with them. You know, if somebody's goals are outrageous, perhaps we have to get in touch with them and see if we can do that. When I say outrageous, I mean maybe they want to do an audition tour all throughout Europe and Australia, New Zealand by the end of the season. And we know with COVID that's not going to be possible. And so we have to get in touch and sort of see if there's other ways we could help. Um, and so it's mostly that, seeing if they'd be the right fit for the program.
So how do you bring a sense of reality check to a person? Um, for instance, with the example that you've given, is it based on your own experience and the mentors? Is it something that is common sense? And when I mean common general sense, is always based on what works and what doesn't in the dance field today. Where do you get that information from?
So we're not relying on common sense actually, and we're not going off of our personal experiences. It's all off of what the mentors have said they can do and they can't do. So so you asked earlier about the screening of the mentors. We know the areas that they're interested in talking about, and through talking about them, we know some of the experiences that they've had. And so we're looking at our reference sheet, and then we're looking at the application and we're saying, does this application and the areas that they're interested in improving match our sheet and all the points that the mentors have said?
Right. Earlier on, you talked about a horizontal communication. And so the responsibility will be two-way. Is that something that you're looking for? Not only the mentee is gonna receive a bunch of information on how, for instance, my experience was in auditioning. Will the person get specific content that they can work on, and therefore also ask for feedback? And will the mentor be able to respond, maybe not immediately, but in the next session or in the panel discussion? How will it be handled, the homework, let's say?
Mm-hmm. So that will be two ways, most definitely. Um, but it will be agreed upon in the one-on-one sessions between the mentors and the mentee with what they're comfortable to do and with what they have time to do. Some of our mentors are busier than others. And mentees, it will be likewise the same. They are both responsible for the growth of the relationship. As with every relationship, it's a push and pull. So there may be times when the mentor is reaching more out to the mentee, but we do expect the mentors, if they haven't heard from their mentees, or within a month, to check in and to see how their mentee is doing. And the mentee, the idea is that the mentee is driving their journey though, and so they should be the ones to actively reach out. You know, nobody's gonna like force you to have to accomplish your goals if you don't want to. But the mentors are there to try to create those relationships, and like I said, they want to learn themselves. And so, if they're not having their mentees returning, then that might become a problem that's more in regards to them, and we're also there to work with them. Maybe it's the way that they're having their sessions, maybe there actually is something that we could improve on, and that would benefit their sessions, and then they would see a relationship developing, a little bit of a bigger relationship, or at a more effective speed.
On the website that you've launched, what was it, a week ago, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, 3 weeks ago now.
3 weeks ago, sorry. We can see a little bit about what the mission of the program is that you earlier talked on, AIM, what it's all about, the program, how is having opportunities also for those that are not able to maybe pay for it. Please check that out, as well as all the way that is laid out the program. I'm wondering, will the mentors also receive some information about the mentees prior the sessions? Will they have, and what kind of information?
So the information, they will receive the information that we have received, which is the application forms from the mentees. And that's very much, like I say, outlining their goals. And this is also outlining, there's a few questions that we're trying to get to know who the mentees are, because beyond matching them, say, I want to um, have more information to better my audition preparation. But that's not enough to know, like, who is that person? What are their personalities? And how can we try to personality match the mentors and mentees? So to answer your question, the mentors will receive the application information that we have, and then the mentors that are matched with those mentees, we will send them some of our ideas with how the sessions could go, some of our goals, and we will try to put the two in touch so that they're ready to go. But all of the mentors should be aware of all of the mentees within the program. Because like I said, we want to create that sense of community. And in a panel discussion, it's important to know who we're speaking to. And it's not just like and virtually it can already feel cold. So we want to try to bring in that sense of warmth. The mentees will know all the mentors and have access to all of their profiles in a private Google Drive. And so the mentors will also have access to the same for the mentees.
And will the mentees feel safe? Will they have their confidentiality protected? Is there an
Absolutely.
agreement with the mentees as well as with the mentors on how
Yeah.
the information will be handled?
Absolutely. So we have, of course, our terms of use and our privacy policy on the website readily available right there. Before we share anything with the mentors, we will send out our agreement form to the mentees, which speaks again to how their information is stored, who it will be shared with, who has access to it, how long we will store it for, if they want it deleted. That's all within our agreement form with them. And then with the mentors, we also have an agreement with them. And so privacy is so important, especially when we're talking about individual people's goals and who they are. And we want to make sure that this information stays where it is. Even us as Dansii, we will not have the ability to ask the mentors, hey, how is, so-and-so's sessions going? Are they reaching their goals? Like, that's not our place. Even if we're curious, we can ask that individual, and it has to be something that's been agreed upon already. Otherwise, we will not, as an organization, pry into any of the relationships. And then we also have protocols that are set up because, again, we're dealing with a virtual world. Things could happen. Don't think that the dance community is perfect by any means. And we want to make sure that our mentors and our mentees are protected from any sort of abuse that could happen, God forbid. But we do have protocols in place. We have things outlined in our terms, and we have codes of conduct and expectations that we're placing on both the mentors and the mentees. And what happens if you break those expectations? That's all laid out in agreements for everybody.
Wonderful. We've got 4 more minutes to go. And I would like to ask you and everybody, is there something that you would like to still share? does anybody have a question? Always feel free anyway to contact Emily and
Mhm.
the team. Emily.
Yeah, if anybody has any questions, the best way to get in touch with us is through the contact form on the website. And that will all be done via email. We're also available via our direct messages on our Instagram if that feels like an easier mode for you, and that you will hear back from myself or you will hear from Arthur Stashak. And if you're interested in applying for the program, the information for that is on the website, and that's www.dansii.org. And if you're a school or company or program and you would like to enhance your career studies curriculum, we're available for partnerships. You can contact us through the form on the website as well. We'd love to hear from you and see if there's an opportunity for us to collaborate. That's all I have left to say. It's been such a pleasure to talk with you, Carolina, and thank you all
Oh,
for joining us today. Great that we had a question in there. Um,
I wonder, is there more interviews coming soon? Are they going to be about Dansii? Do you already have a format or with whom it's going to be? If you can give us a small hint.
Yes, so there will be more interviews coming. We're going to take the time to speak with as many mentors as are available via Instagram Lives, ask them questions. Some of the interviews will be more geared towards Dansii and the development of Dansii, like this one today. And others are going to be more geared towards specific skills that some of the mentors have. And we have questions like we have a psychotherapist, Terry Hyde, who's a
Mm-hmm.
mentor. What are the common things that he's seeing amongst dancers? And what can we do as mentors, mentees, individuals to better prepare ourselves in this upcoming season? So we're hoping to have an interview with Terry, which stay tuned, we'll post information about. And we're wanting to have some fun also. We have some mentors who we actually have a mentor, Maurice, and aside from his dance career, he's also a drag queen. And we'd love to speak with Messy Mary Michaels is his name and her name, sorry, and have the opportunity to talk with her. And so, yeah, stay tuned. There will be things happening. Um, there will be a panel discussion also at the end of October, which is in tandem to the program, though that event won't be free. It will have a bit of a price tag on it, something much lower, around $15, $10 Canadian dollars for the panel discussion, and that will be outside of Instagram. All of that information is coming here on our Instagram feed, so stay tuned.
Amazing. Well, I feel super full with all the
Mhm.
information. I'm very, very happy, and I'm gonna quickly say goodbye. I feel, yeah, we are about to end now. If you have any questions, as Emily has mentioned earlier, don't hesitate via Instagram or the website dansii.org. And I hope we have answered some of your questions and piqued your interest.
Yes, thank you so much, Carolina. We'll be in touch,
Please.
and everybody have a wonderful rest of your day.
Yay! Ciao!
Bye bye.